Hello there, Capricorn. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot video forecast. This forecast is going to be broken up into two different parts. We're going to start with January the 3rd through the 16th, and then the second part is going to be January 17th through the 31st. I am starting with January the 3rd because my last forecast, the one for December, ended with January the 2nd. So we're just picking up where we left off, basically. I am changing the format because when I was doing this week by week, what was happening is I was starting to get some redundant energies showing up. And so I thought it's better to spread this out just a little bit longer than week by week, so we're not having those redundant energies that kind of waste my time and the viewer's time as well. So this will speed things up a little bit. Plus, it'll still give us a nice full view of the energies as they're moving through the month for most of us, I think. Excuse me. So this is January for Capricorns. Those of you who are not Capricorns that are cross-watching because you care greatly about a Capricorn and you want to have some insight, you are welcome here. Cross-watchers are always welcome here. However, what you do need to know is that on this channel, energies are not reversible. They don't flip-flop back and forth. The energy that I'm looking at is the energy that belongs to Capricorn. It's what's influencing Capricorn. And it is about Capricorn. If you want to see a video about yourself, then I suggest you watch a video that would be covering your sun sign, your moon sign, or your rising sign, or any combination that works for you. Okay, so your cards are on the table, Capricorns. We're going to start off by looking at your environment for the time frame from January 3rd through the 16th. Keep in mind, environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. So usually it's home, but sometimes it's someplace else as well. So you want to kind of keep your mind open to what that could be. So looking at environment, it's interesting because it looks to me like you have a lot going on in your environment where things have been set up in a traditional way or an old school way is what I'm hearing Spirit say. And you're really rebelling against that. You're fighting against everything being old school. You're updating, modernizing, making things more progressive in your environment. And I think that this is actually bringing you a lot of happiness as you do that. The next thing that I'm going to look at for you, Capricorns, is your subconscious leanings during this time frame. So for subconscious leanings, what do we have? Looks to me like you have some type of situation here where you've received some kind of news about money that is not the kind of news that we want to hear, okay? A news about a loss of money or having to pay more money than we thought we would or something along those lines. And it looks like in your subconscious you're working on how can I walk away from this situation that is nickel and diming me to death here so that I can get into a situation where I feel like I have plenty, and not only plenty for me, but also plenty to share with the others that I choose to share with. So your subconscious leanings have to do with getting out of a situation where you're being bled for your money and getting into a situation where you feel abundant again. Okay? La da 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 da. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style. We are going to look at learning style first. So it looks to me like you have the attitude, Capricorns, that learning is infinite. There's always more to learn. There's always more to find out, more to seek, more truth to uncover. Really cool attitude that we see here. What else do we have going on? I'm looking at this card, and what I'm hearing Spirit say to me is layers of duplicity. So this, to me, Capricorn, tells me that you are sorting through and sifting through, in some situation in your life, complicated layers of duplicity where things have not been, where there has been like lie or illusion placed on top of lie and illusion, and it's just gotten to be this complicated thing where it's really hard to sort the truth out. It's hard to tell where the lies actually started and why, and where is what has been said actually been truth. And so I think that, you are working on sorting through all of that and looking for the truth in that situation where there's all kinds of layers of cover up is what I'm hearing. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. What else do we have for learning style for you? Some of you may be having, what is that called? There's a root that people go to South America to ingest. Ayahuasca. That's the word I needed. Thank you. So some of you may be actually having an ayahuasca experience to get some spiritual clarity for yourself during this time frame. I don't know if you're going to be traveling to Colombia for that. I've heard that there are places you can do that in the U.S. I'm not sure about the legality, but I've heard they exist. And if it's not ayahuasca, it feels like there's some type of mind-altering spiritual experience. And I say spiritual, like air quotes, spiritual experience through the use of basically something that creates hallucinations. And so you guys may be having one of those artificially induced spiritual experiences during this time frame. Interesting. And you don't have to have anything as exotic as ayahuasca to give yourself hallucinations to have spiritual experiences. I'm not going to list some of the more mundane things that I know about here because I personally think that meditation should be enough to get you there. And I don't trust the kind of spiritual experiences that come up with external substances being added. But, to each his own. To each his own. All right, let's look at communication style. There is definitely somebody that you are communicating with during this time frame in a very formal and educated way. Some of you may be defending a thesis. Some of you may have legal situations underway. But I feel like there's just this formal communication that's following a particular protocol as you go through. Flowery words are involved in that. I do feel like you also have some communication coming up here that is very much based on emotions and what you can do with, what's going on with your emotions. And also, I think that a lot of this communication may have to do with not only the emotions other people trigger in you, but also the emotions that you're triggering in other people as well. And then finally, I do feel like there are some people that you're very relaxed in your communication with. You feel very open with them. You can say whatever it is that is there. And for some of you, I feel like this may be somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time. This may be one of those, good friends that you can go for a few years and not talk to them. And when you do, you just pick up where you left off, that type of situation. For a lot of you, it won't be something that you've waited a few years to talk to this person. For a lot of you, it'll just be several months. But I just feel like there's this there's this openness with this. And this is not like an everyday friend. This is somebody that, you've sort of always been able to talk to about everything. And so I see a communication with that type of person during this time frame. Excuse me while I wet my whistle there. Okay, next thing that we're looking at, Capricorn, is work. It looks to me like a lot of you may be entrepreneurial type of people. You're doing things where you're feeling very self-sufficient. It may be that at work, if you're not owning your own business and self-sufficient in that you're doing your own thing, that you don't have somebody looking really closely over your shoulder all the time. You may have been turned loose on a project, or you may be somebody who is supervising a project or a department. But it looks like, you're very self-sufficient when it comes to work. You don't need a lot of directive from outside people. And it also looks like there is some information coming up that has been, I'm going to say it has been suppressed for a little while. So you are finding out new information about work. And I think that whatever this information is, I think it would be easy for you to go into a pity party type of situation here. However, I don't really see you guys doing that. I feel like you might slide into that for a minute or two, or maybe a few hours or a couple days, but I think you're going to come out of that realizing, there are other opportunities here. I don't need to feel sorry for myself just because this one little opportunity didn't work out. There's so many others that I can move forward with. So I don't see you staying in pity party mode very long at all. All right. Next thing we're looking at is that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now, Capricorns. And what we have showing up here is that there is something that you are paying off or somebody that you are paying back. And I feel like your sense of security has sort of been turned upside down during this time frame. And so, what am I feeling on this card? I think the idea that your sense of security has been turned upside down has kind of sent you back to the drawing board with ideas about what you want to do as far as creating security and as far as maintaining security. I think that the idea that you paid somebody back or paid something off, I think that you did that as a means of bringing more security into your life, but I still feel like you are wanting more than just what that created as far as security. And so you're really on this search of what else can I do to bring more security and more stability into my life and into my finances. Next thing we're looking at is that thing that you stand for during this time frame. This is going to be something that somebody has sort of called you out on. They've wanted you to explain this. Maybe they've even really dramatically confronted you about this. So you're having to explain something or to defend something. So what you stand for here is this idea that you've really been waiting, holding back, waiting to see about something. You have had a situation where you just really didn't know what to do with it. So you were kind of just holding, not taking any action until you could get into a place where you felt like you had some ideas about what you could do with it. And what happened is nothing really changed. Nothing really changed. Nothing got better. Nothing was improved. Nothing was changed. And because nothing was changed, you decided to turn that situation into a situation that is in your past, not in your present. So you decided to quit putting energy and effort into this situation. You decided to quit waiting to see what was going to happen with this situation because nothing was changing. Now this other person sees you after you've explained this or defended this. they see you as somebody who had a choice about things, but really almost like gave up that choice because they feel like you felt like you had to do whatever this is that you guys were talking about, that you were waiting on to see if it would get better. So they felt like you kind of got your back up against the wall to where even though technically you had a choice, there really wasn't much of a choice. And so you had to do this in the past. They do feel like you have found some healing since doing this, that, by waiting to see what happens, you found some healing around this situation. And they feel like, you've basically made a contract with yourself or an agreement with yourself that you're not going to go into a situation that is negative again because you're not seeing any change. So it looks like they have a pretty good understanding of what you were explaining to them from what I can see here. All right, Capricorns, let's look next at your flex point. Now, your flex point has to do with when you have a lesson or an experience that helps you learn something or experience something at a different level than what you have before. Many times this changes our perspective. And when our perspective changes, that changes the trajectory of where we're going with our lives. So that's why I call this the flex point. So lesson or experience for you during this time, Capricorn. Oh, has to do with the idea that you've been dealing with somebody who has some narcissistic tendencies, and you have now let yourself detach from this narcissistic person. Now, sometimes we can detach by actually getting away from the person, but sometimes we can detach by just taking a different perspective on what's going on between the narcissist and ourselves. Sometimes we can detach just by acting like we're an outsider looking in at the interactions in the relationship rather than being sucked right into the guilt trips and the manipulation, seeing that for what it is, recognizing it for what it is, and having enough distance not to get sucked in can really change a lot of things. And so for some of you, you are physically getting away from the narcissist. But for others of you, this is a detachment that you're taking from the narcissist. And whichever way you're working it, this is bringing you strengthened self-esteem. It's bringing you back your self-worth again. So that's really nice. I like seeing your self-worth come back up again. This is not an easy situation to deal with. Looking next at what's happening as you are detaching or pulling away. You have a lot going on your plate right now, and you're handling everything, like nothing's falling through the cracks. People may be wondering how you're handling everything. Maybe you're even wondering because it feels very hectic to you, but it looks like you're handling it gracefully to them, and you're manifesting some of the things that you really want in your life. Plus, you are healing up emotionally from this situation where you detached. So, and this is nice, we saw your improved self-esteem. Now we're seeing, emotional healing, healing of the heart from the situation that you've detached from, and I feel like, you manifesting some of the things that you want in your life is part of what's actually allowing your heart to heal. It's probably also part of what's allowing your self-esteem to come back up. Now, also at the same time, it does look like you have a lot of support of friends around you. And it looks to me like whenever you're feeling indecisive about this decision that you've already made, your friends really help you by pointing out, hey, look how much better things are in your life. Do you really want to go back to what it used to be? And so you've got a lot of support from friends in helping you maintain that decision that you've made about detaching from the narcissist. Let's see where you are at the end of this time frame. Well, this is kind of rough. You're not feeling exactly completely secure just yet. You do have people that are supportive, that are helping you, but you're not feeling very fulfilled yet. So basically, this whole change that you've made, you're still feeling the don't want to say growing pains, but you're still adjusting basically to that whole change here. And when you have other people that you're collaborating with, that tells me you have support as you're adjusting, but you may not feel very secure, probably emotionally, but also possibly financially for some of you, and definitely not feeling very fulfilled or very satisfied. I kind of get the sense that you were spending so much energy and time on this narcissistic type character that once you detach, you kind of have forgotten what makes you feel satisfied when it's not trying to make that person happy. So I think that's part of why you're not feeling fulfilled or satisfied, is because you're not quite sure what it takes to make you feel that way. So you're having a hard time doing anything that would. Okay. So I want to look at this a little bit more deeply about this security. I want to find out if that is financial as well as emotional, or just emotional, just financial. I want to see what kind of collaborations we have going on here that are supporting you and helping you. Is this business? Is this personal? What is this exactly? And then I want to look at this dissatisfaction, and I want to just make sure, is this about the idea of making the change, or is this something else going on as well? So I'm going to take a peek at all of that in an expanded reading. You can see that link down below this video if you're interested and you want to check it out. Of course, I have an inquiring mind, and I'm a little bit of a sticky beak, so I'm going to check it out. And I hope you guys enjoy what I see, what comes up there, and that it's helpful for you if you go to the expanded. See you soon, and when I come back, we'll do the rest of the month. Okay, Capricorns, we are back, and this time we're looking at January the 17th through the 31st to see what kind of energies are moving through your experience. What are you working with? By the way, for those cross watchers, this is a reading by, or I shouldn't say by, because I'm not a Capricorn, but for Capricorns and about Capricorns. Energies on this channel are not reversible. This is for Capricorn. If you want to find information about yourself, then please check your own sun sign, moon sign, or rising sign. But if you're wanting to find out information about somebody who you care about who happens to be a Capricorn, then you're in the right place, just as long as you remember this is about them and not about you. Okay, so we have cards on the table, Capricorn. Let's look at your environment first off. What do we have showing up? What do we have showing up? Looks to me like you may be leaving your environment, whether you were in a temporary environment or a full-time environment that you're leaving. It looks to me like you may be ending some kind of contract with your environment. So if you had an agreement at a hotel to stay so many days, that contract might be over. If you're leasing, you may be ending an agreement like that in your environment. If this is about your work environment, this could be that a contract with the work environment is up and over. But yeah, it looks to me like you're being released from some kind of contract or agreement whenever it comes to your environment. Yeah, and I feel like that this is kind of a bittersweet time for you as you were looking at that. All right, let's look at, and what I'm feeling like is for some of you, you're actually released from your environment. For others of you, there will be like a roommate or a neighbor who's actually released from the environment. So for some of you, this is actually happening to you, but for others of you, you're kind of placeholders for somebody that's happening, that is happening to near you. And the only reason it's showing up in your reading is because there's some way that that event will actually have some kind of influence on your life as well. All right. Let's look next at your subconscious leanings. How is this playing out exactly? I feel like there's something going on for you, Capricorns, and a lot of you, this is going to be at work. I'm going to say about 80% of you, this is something at work. So not everybody, but most of you. And it looks like there's somebody there who is insecure about your presence. They're insecure about you being around. And so they're doing things to sort of sabotage your work or your reputation. Okay? And I feel like because of this, there is some kind of, well, actually, I feel like you're more worried about it than that it's happened. I feel like you're worried about the idea that maybe this person would get to somebody who makes decisions regarding you, so like a supervisor or a supervisor's supervisor, and convince that person to make an unfair decision about you. And I feel like this is really a big concern for you at a subconscious level, maybe even at a conscious level as well, but definitely your subconscious is working on, how am I going to handle that situation if it would actually come about? Let's see if it actually comes about or if that's just unnecessary worry. First thing we're going to look at is learning style, or first thing after that, we're looking at learning style, and then we're looking at communication style. So first of all, whenever we're looking at learning style, there is something very natural that you're learning about in a very natural way. You could be learning about trees or plants. You could be learning about animals or how to butcher meat, or there's just something that's very organic that's coming through that you're learning about during this time frame. Very organic and very natural. I also feel like there is something that you know a whole lot about already, and I feel like you're going deeper with that knowledge, so you're studying about that a little bit more than what you know, just really diving deeper into that. And I do feel like some of the knowledge, some of the information that you're getting right now is from spirit, whether you're doing that through meditation or whether you have some kind of fortune-telling sacred tools like cards or runes that you're using, but you are connecting with the divine for some of the information that you are looking for during this time frame. Communication style, I think you're being, well, at least with somebody and probably a group of people, I think you're being very direct and to the point. I don't think anybody can miss what you're saying, even if they would try to. La da 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 da. There is somebody in your sphere of influence that I feel like you are being very considerate as you talk to them, as you communicate with them, and being very gentle in your communications of them. You may have something that you know you need to tell them that you also know is going to be very disappointing to them, and it feels to me like you're just trying to say it in as non-harmful a way as you possibly can. And there are some people in your sphere of influence that you're basically blocking their interactions with you or their connection with you. I think that you may be mirroring back to them what they're sending you, but in many cases, I think that they're communicating with you, but you're just not acknowledging or communicating back. Let's look at work. We had work come up in the subconscious leanings. Let's see what we can see about it here. Let's see about the actual 3D tangible reality going on during this time frame. There is a lot of confusion around responsibilities as we're looking at this work area of your life. And you may even be letting go of some of the responsibilities that you had before. Maybe there's an assistant that's coming in, or maybe you've been picking up responsibilities for people who have been out sick. Well, now you're not responsible for as many things as you were before. I do feel like, though, or you could be putting down old responsibilities to take on a promotion, because I see you in here in a leadership position, in a position where you're looking out for other people and responsible for other people. And I see you really using some integrity as you're doing this, and respect for everybody there. And it looks to me like you've got some good messages coming in, giving you some go-aheads to do. I feel like this is multiple things that you would like to do, to change, to shake up, to move forward, to start, to initiate. So I think looking at this card combination, yes, there are some responsibilities that you're no longer responsible for, but I think that those are being put down because you're taking on different responsibilities that are more impactful, is what I'm going to say. So, I mean, this is definitely not, this is kind of the opposite of somebody making an unfair judgment against you for any reason. So I'm liking this. I mean, this is a very positive thing at work. You know, looks like you're getting a promotion or getting some new duties that you really like, and getting the go-ahead to make some changes that you want to make. So I think that your worry in the subconscious leanings is just truly that. It is just your worry. It's not actually what's happening in real life. All right. Then we are looking at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. What do we have here? I feel like a lot of you may pride yourselves on your creativity, whether that's, creativity in writing things and painting and drawing and sculpture, if that's creativity in whatever, if you're in the arts, whatever it might be. And I think that right now, basically, you've got some kind of creative block. For some of you, it is literally a writer's block. But for others of you, this is different. You just are having a hard time finding that energy that allows you to create something new and build it out and move forward with it. And so where you're being expanded right now is figuring out how to cope with these feelings that seem to stunt you or keep you from moving forward in the way that you normally would when it comes to expressing your creativity in the world. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about those things that you stand for or you stand up for during this time frame. So this is going to be something that somebody else has come to you and asked you about. Maybe they want an explanation. Maybe they're all out confronting you. So you're going to have to explain or defend this, whatever this is. So what do we see? So it looks like you have somebody in your sphere of influence that you know intuitively has done something that would be deceptive, that has been, they think, behind your back, and yet you have a strong enough sense about what's going on intuitively that you are quite well aware. And I think this is what somebody has confronted you about, this idea that you know this without, evidence. And then how do they feel about you after you explain this situation? Oh, they are very unhappy. But, they're very unhappy, but I think the reason they're unhappy is this is probably this person that you've had to, they probably confronted you, well, why are you acting like this, da-da-da-da-da, because they didn't know you knew what was up. And so they're unhappy that, yep, you do know what's up. And not only do you know what's up, like, you're not being devastated by this. This isn't shutting you down or stalling you out. You are still moving forward with your goals. You're just enlisting other people's help and not their help. And I think that you're moving forward decisively. And I don't think that they expected that. I think that they expected you to be kind of paralyzed once you found out, and that would give them the advantage in being able to move forward. That's not happening here. That's not happening here. Okay, Capricorns. Next thing we're looking at is your flex point for this time frame. So we're going to look at your lesson or experience, and then what happens as you move through your lesson or experience. La, da, 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 da. I like this. There is something going on that you feel really happy and satisfied about, and I think you're putting a lot of energy and effort into this. You may be putting that in financially, or you may just be opening up emotionally for this. And it does look to me like this is something that you had kind of taken a break from. Maybe you hadn't even really expected it to happen, and now all of a sudden here it is, and it's making you very happy. So something that you've taken a break from is coming back into your sphere of influence. You're spending a lot of energy on it, possibly a lot of money on it, and it's making you really happy that it's there. At the same time, seems like this would have to be another situation, because it's really in contradiction to what I just saw. There is something going on that you're feeling really, really sad and upset about. And it looks like you're having a hard time really finding that healing, finding that forgiveness, or that point where you can let go. And there's a lot of energy around this sadness. This is really strong sadness, and this is some kind of deep hurt that has happened to you. Interesting. I wonder if that ties in with what you were standing for. And how, isn't that interesting? Because you're looking like you're going forward, no problem. But this looks like, well, what I haven't really said is that this really hurts. That's what I'm seeing. Also at the same time, what's going on here? I feel like, yeah, this is basically verifying that this other person cut you loose in some way, whether this was a business relationship that you had, or a romantic relationship, or even a friendship, that they, and I don't think that they let you know that they cut you loose. They started interacting and doing the same things that they used to do with you with somebody else without letting you know that they had moved on. I think that's the deal. They didn't let you know. So you intuitively knew, and you found them out. But you found them out after they started doing this with somebody else. And I think that really, that was whenever they cut you loose without bothering to tell you they had. And that was exactly the opposite of what you wanted. I think that you really thought that there was a good future moving forward with this person. Like I said, whether it was in business or whether it wasn't. You thought there was a good future moving forward. And so whenever they cut you out, even though you knew that intuitively, I still think that it did not feel really good. And it's exactly the opposite of what you wanted with that person. Where do we see you at the end of this time frame? Well, we see you actually having a support group around you, family members, tribe members, having a support group around you, and it's a good thing that you have a support group around you, because you've got a situation where you've got a partnership that has come undone, and not only that, there's also another situation that's on a smaller scale where you're not on the same page with somebody that you usually were on the same page with before. So you've got a strong support network around you, but you do have a couple of key relationships sort of coming apart at the seams during this time frame. So that's what makes those people around you who are so supportive so important once we get to the end of the month there. I think we're going to look at, that's going to be what we look at for the expanded, is what's going on at the end of the month. Let's find some answers there. But if I don't see you on the expanded, then I do want to say thank you very much for being here and spending some of your precious time with me. I do appreciate it sincerely. Also, thank you for the thumbs ups and thank you for sharing this video with others who may find it beneficial. Of course, thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings and private Reiki sessions from me. And thank you to those of you ordering expanded readings and participating in the super chats. I appreciate all of your support at every level because it does help me to keep doing what I love to do for my living. So thank you very much. And if I don't see you for a private session before the next time, then I will see you back here on the next video. Peace out.